So this video is on the Chapter 9 D Day. That was Friday's assignment. So when you're asked to solve a system of equations, and both of the equations are y equal, you're going to use equal values. You're going to set them both equal to one another. So I am going to take negative 2x, sorry, hold on, negative 2 times x minus 2 squared plus 35 equals negative 2x plus 15. Now, if this was just an x minus 2 squared and I did not have an x here, I just had numbers, I would get this by itself and then get all my numbers on the other side and square root. But when you have this with an x, I unfortunately need to work this out. So this x minus 2 squared is really an x minus 2 and times an x minus 2. So you can do a box, but you want to start understanding this relationship. I'm going to write it up here. Of if you have a minus b squared, which is a perfect square trinomial, it is going to be a squared, multiply these together and double it, minus 2ab, square this plus b squared. We call it a perfect square trinomial. Or if you had it with a plus, same idea, you square the first term, a squared, you multiply together ab, and you get it twice if you're doing it in the box, so you get a 2ab, you square your b squared. Okay, so that's the formula I'm going to use right here for this, okay? So when I do this, I am going to get negative 2 times, and I'll do it in blue. Again, here I square my x, I get x squared. I multiply together negative 2x, I double negative 4x. I square negative 2, I get a 4. You want to start being able to do that quickly without having to do like a box to work it out. Plus 35 equals negative 2x plus 15. So now I am going to distribute my negative 2. So I'm going to get a negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 8 plus 35 is equal to a negative 2x plus 15. Let me clean up this side. So this is going to be a negative 2x squared plus 8x. My negative 8 and positive 35 will be a plus 27 equals negative 2x plus 15. Now, I like my x squareds to be positive. So wherever my x squared is positive is usually where I will take it. So either I can multiply everything by a negative, or I'm literally going to move everything to this side because it's negative on this side. So my negative 2x squared will be positive over here. So I am going to do this. I'm going to get 0 equal. Again, I'm going to take this to the other side. So now it's going to be a positive 2x squared. I'm going to take this. So it's going to be a negative 8x, and a negative 2x is a negative 10x. I'm going to take this to the other side. So I'm going to minus 27. I minus 27 from 15. I get a negative 12. Now, the one thing I notice here is that everything's divisible by 2. So divide everything by 2, since this is an equation. Okay, not if it was factoring, I would have factored out the 2, but this is an equation. I can divide every single thing by 2, and I get x squared minus 5x minus 6. This is factorable. You want to be careful. I'm looking to see what multiplies to a negative 6 and adds to a negative 5, and that's going to be a negative 6 and a positive 1. Be careful. So this is going to be an x minus 6, x plus 1, which means the answers for this, for my first parenthesis, is going to be x equals 6. For my second one, x equals negative 1. This is a system. We have a parabola and a line. We want to know where they cross, the point that they cross at, or in this case, points. These are the x coordinates. So I'm going to have 6 comma something, and I'm going to have negative 1 comma something. And so I am going to put the 6 into this equation here, okay? I'm just going to use the calculator just to show you what I'm doing. So I'm taking negative 2 times my 6, okay, my 6, and then I'm adding 15. I chose this one because I just didn't want to do all of this. You can choose either one. And I got a 3, so 6 comma 3. And I'm going to do the same thing. Here, I'm just going to come steal this. And I'm going to change this 6 to a negative 1. Now, if I'm going to do this on my calculator, I want to be careful because the minute I do this, I type over. So if I don't want to type over my plus, I can do second and delete for insert. And now I can insert that 1, and now it's not going to type over, and I get a 17. And so these are your 2 points of intersection. Okay. On number 2, we're solving this system. Now this system are 2 lines. Neither one of them is in y equal form. We can't use equal values. We're going to use elimination. That's what we're going to use. And so we can either try to get the same number in front of our x's, which that would probably be a 20, or the same number in front of my y's, and I'm thinking that would be a 6. We want them to be different signs so that they cancel out. So since this is a negative and this is a positive, I think I'm going to try to do my y's. So I am going to multiply the top equation by 3, and I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 2. And sometimes it's tempting to go, oh, I need them opposite, so one of them needs to be negative. This is already negative, so don't do that. Okay, so I'm going to distribute, and I get a, hold on, let me do it. I'm just going to match the color here for you guys. So I'm going to get a 15x minus 6y equals a, and I'm going to do 36 times 3, which is a negative 108. And I am going to distribute my 2. So I'm going to get an 8x plus 6y equals a negative 30. And now I am going to add these equations together and do elimination. My y's eliminate. I end up getting 23x is equal to a negative 138. I'm going to divide both sides by 23. So let's see. A negative 138 divided by 23 is negative 6. Got a nice number. Now again, this is a system. These are 2 lines. I need to figure out the point where they cross. And this is going to be the x-coordinate. So it's going to be negative 6 comma. And I'm just going to put it into whichever one I prefer. Okay. Let's say I put it into the top one. It doesn't really matter. Neither one of them is beautiful. So let's say I'm putting it in the top. So I'm going to go 5 times negative 6 minus 2y equals a negative 36. So I get negative 30 minus 2y equals negative 36. I am going to add 30 to both sides. And so when I add 30 to both sides, I'm going to get negative 2y is equal to add 30, negative 6. So y is 3. So this is going to be negative 6 comma 3. Again, that was for number 2. Okay, so on number 3, okay, 3a. So for this, we're going to solve this. We're going to put it on a number line and give our inequality. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to get this to be m and then isolate it. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to get 3m minus 9 is greater than or equal to 12. So again, I divided both sides by 2. The only time that I ever have to switch my inequality direction is if I multiply or divide by a negative, and I did not. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So that's going to give me a 21. I'm going to divide by 3. Okay, so that's going to give me a 7. This is my answer. M is greater than or equal to 7. And then I'm going to put it on a number line. Okay, so here's my number line. I'll put 7 here. And it's going to be a closed dot. Okay, closed dot. I'm going to make this a little fatter. And okay, so it's going to be a closed dot. And then it's going to be greater than this direction. That's my graph. That's my solution. Okay. On the next one, letter B. Okay, so this is 3B. I'll put the 3 here, 3B. So for this one, I'm going to go kind of do the same thing. I want to get a 0 here, though. So this is a quadratic. I'm going to get a 0 on this side. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5x squared plus 7x minus 6 is less than 0. And then I'm going to factor this to figure out what my zeros are, my x-intercepts are. So I'm going to factor this, okay? And I am going to have my 5x squared is here, my -6 is here. That multiplies to a -30x squared. And then my 7x needs to add here. So, whoops. Okay, so my 7x is going to be here. So what multiplies to a -30x squared and adds to a 7x? Well, that is going to be a 10x and a -3x. So I'm going to have a 10x and a -3x. So I want to factor this. Start with my 5x squared to figure out the outside. So 5 and 1, my 5 has to go with this 10. So this is going to be a 5x and an x. X times -3, 5x times 2. So my factors, let me write them here, are going to be 5x minus 3 and x plus 2, less than 0. So we want it to be less than 0. First, let me find what makes it 0. So if I solve this for 0, set this equal to 0, okay, I'd add 3, divide by 5, so 3/5 would have made that 0. Here, this would be -2. These are my two boundary points, okay? So I'm going to get my line, my number line. I have a -2 and I have a 3/5. Now you can try a point. You can try a number here. You can try numbers here. Put them into this inequality and see what makes it true or false. But remember, this is really a parabola. And here, I'm going to do it in green. This is a parabola. And this is an open up parabola, okay? Right here at -2 and 3 -2 and 3/5, this is what makes it 0. We want it to be less than 0. So these are going to be open circles. Here, I'm going to make it a little darker than that. This is going to be open circle, and then I need to figure out where to shade. Now, the way I think about it is this is a parabola, a positive parabola. And I want, where is that parabola? Less than 0. Basically, where's that parabola? Beneath the x-axis. So if I start sketching a parabola, positive parabola, it's above, it's at. It's below, it's below, it's below, it's at. It's above, above, above. Again, this means we want less than. So it's less than in between. So I am going to be shading in between. That is going to be my graph. The green just helped me. Okay, so you don't really need that. Okay, and then your answer is when it's this in between, the shade in between, you're going to start with your smaller number, -2, less than x, less than 3/5. These inequalities need to point the same direction. And that's your answer for 3B. Let's see. Number 4. Okay, on 4. So on 4, we have Jamie threw a softball that traveled along a path described by this parabola. Okay, so let me just kind of highlight that parabola. Okay, right there. Where y is the height of the softball in feet and x is the horizontal distance the ball has traveled. Where does the softball hit the ground? Remember, y is the height. So that means the ground would be 0 for my y. So I'm going to go 0 equal -x squared plus 10x. Now, if you have no number here, you just have x's here, you can factor this. Okay, what do they both have in common? An x. And I don't like to have a negative here. So you can do one of two things. You can either factor out the negative x, or you can multiply everything by a negative so that 0 times the negative is still 0. This would become a positive x squared. This would become a negative 10x. Now we can factor out our our x, I apologize. And we get an x minus 10. So I'm going to get two answers here. One answer is going to be x equals 0. The other answer is going to be x equal 10. So we have two answers at 0 what was this? At 0 distance and at 10. Okay, so when it's traveled 0, it's going to be at a height of 0. And when it's traveled 10 feet, it's going to be back down on the ground. These are your two answers. What is the highest point reached during the flight of the ball? The highest point is the maximum. Maximums occur at vertex. So we're really trying to find the vertex. Now, this isn't in the nice graphing form, but since I have my x-intercepts over here, I can average those. I can average my x-intercepts, okay? And if I average my x-intercepts, so I add them and divide by 2, I get 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I know it's going to be 5 comma something. How do I find the something? Put 5 into this equation. Okay, I'm going to put 5 into that equation. So I'm going to have a negative, and then it is my 5 being squared. And I don't want parentheses around here because what I'm really doing is I'm taking a negative times 5 squared. Okay, so my 5 is not being multiplied by this. My answer should be negative here. Okay, I should be getting a negative 25. Plus 10 times 5, and I end up getting a 25. 25. So when it says what is the highest point that it reaches, 5 comma 25, how do you know? Because it's an open down parabola. It's an open down parabola, and my vertex is going to be my max every single time. What is the ball's horizontal distance from Jamie when it is 24 feet up in the air? Okay, so when it's 24 feet up in the air, I'm going to put 24 here for y. Okay, so I'm going to put 24 in for y. So I'm going to have 24 is equal to negative x squared plus 10x. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. So on this one, I don't like having my x squared be negative. So again, I'm going to bring everything over here. So this is going to be x squared minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. I'm going to factor this. So this is going to become an x minus 6, x minus 4 equals 0. I'm going to get two answers. One of them is going to be when it's 6 feet away. One of them is going to be when it's 4 feet away. And you might say, well, how are we getting it twice? Because it is a parabola upside down. Okay, so let's say that what I'm drawing in here, that this is a height of, a height of 24. Here, hold on. That this is a height of 24. This green line I just did, that's a height of 24. It's going to have it at 4 feet away, and it's going to have it at 6 feet away. That's what's going on. Okay, so on number 5, the drama club sold 65 fewer adult tickets at $5 each than it did student tickets for $3 each. The total value of all tickets was $6.75. How many adult tickets were sold? This is a system. Okay, this is a system. I'm going to have A be adults tickets and S be student tickets. And I'm going to do my S cursive, so that lowercase cursive, so it doesn't look like a 5. So I know how much they cost. I also know that the drama club sold 65 fewer adult than students. So I have less adults, okay? So basically my students is equal to, sorry, hold on. Let me do it this way. I apologize. Let me do it with adults. I know I have less adults, 65 less. So if I take my students minus 65, that's going to give me my adults because I have 65 less adult tickets than student tickets. Then I'm going to write an equation here with money. $5 for each adult, $3 for each student. So I'm going to have 5 for each adult plus 3 for each student, and that's 675 total. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to take this and put it in place of that A. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let me do it this way. I'm going to take this and put it in place of this A using substitution. So I'm going to have 5 times my A plus 3S is equal to 675. And my A is S minus 65. Okay, and then I'm going to do that math. So I'm going to distribute. I get 5S minus, let's see, 65 times 5 is 325. So this is minus 325 plus 3S. Okay, I'm going to clean this up. So I'm going to get 8S is equal to, and I'm going to take the 325 over also. So I'm going to add it to my 675 and I get 1,000. I'm going to divide by 8 and I end up getting 125 students. Okay, then my adults is 65 less. So I'm going to take 125 minus 65 and I get 60, and that's my answer. Okay, on number 6. How many sides does a regular n-gon have if one exterior angle of the n-gon is 20? So this is what I'm going to do. So we want to know how many sides. And so I know that if an exterior is 20, then I can take 360 divided by 20. Okay, so 360 degrees by 20 degrees. And I am going to end up getting 18 sides. And that's your answer. That's your answer. Okay, I did it based off of my exterior because they always add to 360. On number 7, I have a pentagon here, not a regular one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I have a hexagon because I have, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 sides. Okay, so I have a hexagon. Okay, so if I have 6 sides, I know that all of these added together, even though this is not a regular one, I know that if I take 6 minus 2 times 180, okay, 6 minus 2 times 180, so basically 4 times 180, I end up with 720. That's how many degrees this should all add up to. I have a 90 here. Don't forget your 90. This together is going to be 180. So I'm going to take 180 minus 49. And I get 131 here. Okay, so this is going to be a 131. It doesn't look like 131. Make it a little nicer. A 131. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of these up. Okay, so I've got a 90 and a 131. So here, let me do this. I have a 90 plus a 131. Minus 1 plus 5. Okay, so that's all my numbers. So I have a 225. And then I have 3x. So that's 6x, 7x, 9x. So I have 9x plus 225. So 9x plus 225 equals 720. And I'm going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 720 minus this. And I get 495. I'm going to divide by 9 and I get 55. 55 degrees. Okay. Okay. On number 8. Okay. So on 8, what is the measure of each interior angle of a regular decagon? Okay, decagon's 10 sides. And so we want to know that, again, so what's the measure of an interior angle of a regular decagon, interior angle? So couple of ways you can do it. We want one angle. So I'm going to to do this. I'm going to go kind of backwards. So I know that it's 10-sided. I'm going to talk about my exterior. Okay, I know they want interior, but if I take my exterior and I take 360 divided by 10 sides, means each of those is going to be 36 degrees. That's my exterior. My interior is 180 minus 36, and 180 minus 36 is 144 degrees. That's how I personally would do it. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have to use the formula to find the sum of all of them and then divide by 10. Up to you. On 9, what is the area of a regular, what is the shaded region of this figure? So we've done one like this before. So this is 10 here, which means that's 10 for my diameter, okay? So if it's 10 for my diameter that way, it's also 10 for my diameter that way. So that is going to be 10, and that's going to be 10, so that's going to be 20 total. So my whole entire rectangle, okay, so rectangle is going to be 10 times 20, which is 200. My circle, okay, so one circle, okay, it is going to be, it's 10 going across, but it is pi r squared is what my area formula is. So if this is 10, I'm going to be doing 5 squares, so 25 pi. That's one of them. I have 2 of them, okay? So I am going to take 2 times my answer, and I'm going to get 50 pi because I have it twice. So now my total area is 200 minus 50 pi. There you go. That's it. On number 10, okay, on number 10, what is the area of a trapezoid? So just a little reminder, area of a trapezoid, the formula is base 1 plus base 2, base 1 plus base 2, times your height, and your height is always the perpendicular straight up and down, okay, divided by 2, okay? So here, let me draw better than this. So for this, let me just draw it in using a fainter one. Okay, so this that I'm drawing in here, that's going to be like your height. Okay, that's going to be this height. And this is a 45, 90, so this is 45. Okay, so that's going to be important here in a minute. Now also over here, this is going to be that same value. Now what we want to understand is the following, okay? For this is going to be, hold on a second, let me get, this is 4, okay? This is 4. We know that for this, this right here, this 120 is really all the way to here. Okay, so why is that important? Because right here, that part, let me write it in orange, this is 90 degrees. So if that is 90 degrees, that means that this part here is 30 degrees. So this is going to be a 30, 60, 90. Okay, a 30, 60, 90. Let me get this better. 60, and again, this is my 30, and this is a 90. So if this is 6, then across from, which is my hypotenuse, across from my 30 is always your building block. I double my building block to get this, so that means that this is 3. I take what's across from my 30 and I times it by root 3 to get across from my 60. So I know this is a 3 root 3, which means this is a 3 root 3. And if this is a 3 root 3 and a 45, 45, 90, then this is a 3 root 3. Okay, now I could find this by timesing it by root 2. So this would really be a 3 root 6, but we didn't need that because we don't need a perimeter. We just need area. So now for my area, okay, I am going to take my base 1, which is 4, plus my bottom base, which is going to be a 7 plus root 3, 7 plus 3 root 3, sorry. And I am going to times that by my height, which is 3 root 3, and then divide by 2. Okay, so doing this math, I'm going to get an 11 plus 3 root 3 times 3 root 3 over 2. Okay, so if I did not want to put this in a calculator, this is going to be a 33 root 3, because 3 root 3 times 11. And then 3 times 3 is 9. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. So this together is going to be a 27 over 2. That's my answer exactly, or you can put it in your calculator. Okay, so this is the first half. I'll do a second video for the second page.